Coming up on Theater Talk, I have unforgettable memory of that scene where big James Earl Jones and little Mary Alice comes up to him and she hits him on the chest, and the audience just went crazy, and the women in the audience were saying, hit him again, hit him harder. And you don't hit Denzel in this particular moment. Was that a choice you made so that you were not going to do what James and Mary did before?
First of all, Denzel said he did not want to be hit. Okay, let's just be honest. He said,
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation.
Monday morning talking about time to go to work, because I'm going to still be stroking.
Troy, stop it.
I ain't paying him no man rolls. That ain't nothing but gin talk. Go on, Troy. I'll see you Monday.
From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
And I'm the show's producer, Susan Haskins.
There is a terrific revival of August Wilson's great play Fences on Broadway now. It's been nominated for 10 Tony Awards, the most for any revival in the history of Broadway. And 3 of those Tony Award nominees are with us tonight on Theater Talk. I want to welcome the brilliant and beautiful Viola Davis. First time on Theater Talk. Congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you very much.
The brilliant and beautiful Stephen McKinley Henderson.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to Theater Talk, and congratulations on your Tony nomination. And the brilliant and suave and handsome Kenny Leon, the director of Fences.
I'll take that.
You'll take it all. Congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you so much.
Now, Kenny, since you're the director of this terrific production, can you tell us how it all came together? Was it your idea to bring these terrific actors into it?
Well, I can answer that in 2 ways. One is that I had the opportunity to work with the great August Wilson.
Yeah, you all did. We'll talk about
for his last 2 Broadway productions, Jim and Ocean and Radio Golf. And at one point we talked about the revival of Fences, but unfortunately August passed away in 2005 and didn't get the chance to see this great revival. And then as time went on, I got a call from Scott Rudin,
the producer who had the rights to Fences for
he had the film rights, and he had approached Denzel about doing the film. And Denzel said he wanted to do the play before he would tackle that. And if they were going to do the play, he and Scott both wanted me to direct it. So they put Denzel and I in a restaurant together in L.A. We talked about our schedules and said, hey, I'm free at the end of February. I want to do this. And Denzel said, why do you want to do this play again? You've done it 4 times. Aren't you like bored? I said, no. I said, now that August has finished the 10th play, now we see how the play talks to the other 9. Yeah. And this is really exciting for me. And then to get in discussions with the producers and talk about, who could stand on stage side by side with Denzel Washington and give him toe to toe. Viola Davis, has to be, and I think I find the relationship to be inseparable. Troy and Rose, Denzel and Viola, it's just inseparable, and it's a rawness and a visual quality that they bring it to life. And then Stephen, Stephen, come on. Stephen is the most underrated actor in America. You know why? Because he does it so effortless.
Yeah. Because it doesn't look like acting.
He doesn't look like acting. And so the words come out like butter. And, so that's how it all came about. And our schedules were free in February and March. And I'm really thrilled at the cast, top to bottom. I'm thrilled with Branford Marsalis coming on and working with me on the transitions and the music and all the design elements. And
yeah, you got a nomination for music, too, and it's a play. Yeah. I'm interested in what he says, Viola, this notion of going toe-to-toe with Denzel Washington. Oh. We should just say for people who don't know the play that Denzel Washington is playing a garbage man in Pittsburgh in the 1950s. 1957. And you're his loving but long-suffering wife.
Long-suffering. I love that term.
Now, when they say, all right, Viola, we'd like you to star opposite Denzel Washington, is this image of going toe-to-toe with this big movie star in your mind when you go into rehearsal with him?
Yeah. It was. I have to admit. And, I had a triple whammy. First of all, it was going toe-to-toe with Denzel Washington. It was not being on stage for 6 years, and it was following Mary Alice, who had done the role in '87, who I considered to be a fantastic actress. And I'd always come to New York with new plays, so nobody could compare my performance to anyone else's. But, you know, as an actor, once you say yes, then those things have to fall away. And the only thing that you have left is your voice. And with August, August is uncomfortable in his writing. And what I mean by that is he is very honest. And especially in Act 2, Scene 1, that you can't have too many reservations. You have to either go for it or not. And so then I had to retire. I had to retire my fear, especially with Denzel, because I knew he would go for it. So I said, if he goes for it, he's not going to make me look bad.
You didn't have any fear. You didn't have any fear from day one.
Now, Stephen, so you're in this great position in the play as sort of being, I mean, you're a great actor, you're part of the August Wilson world, so you just got to hang back and watch Viola and Denzel go toe-to-toe in the rehearsal hall. Was it fun watching the two go up against each other?
It was great fun, and I mean, you know, it was great fun. Every actor in the show. It was just great fun being back, because I did do my first Broadway show with Viola and King Hedley II, which is another August play. And I just think she's, you know, she's the thing. She's it. And then another actor, Russell Hornsby, who I did Jitney with. It's another Wilson play. And Chris Chalk, who's a member of the Lab Company, and Michael T. Williamson, who is just, oh my God. So everybody, you know, to a person in the show, is a joy to work with. And I have the best seat in the house, because I get to sit and listen a lot, and to play Denzel's closest friend. It's a joy to be a part of this.
Kenny, when you sat down on the first table reading, I guess you call it, when you do a play. Everybody knows this play. We all know this play very, very well. It's an American classic. Is there something that you said to the actors to get them thinking about it in a fresh way? And is there something that you crystallized for them about this play that's important for them to keep in mind when they approach it?
One thing I told them was that there will be 25-year-olds and 30-year-olds that will see this play that they don't have a clue as to what happened in 1986 or 87 on Broadway. I want them to be introduced to August Wilson and introduced to theater in an incredible way. And there's some other folks that saw the play in 86 and 87, and they want to come back and say, oh, let's compare that production to this production. And so what I wanted was for both groups to feel like this was a world premiere. And I said, that's what our job is. We're going to seek the truth, and we're going to do it the way these 7 people in this room will tell that story.
Viola, there's a moment in the play, and everyone gasps in the audience. And talk about getting there and to the emotional truth. How long did it take you to get to this scene of confrontation with your husband, that it was so raw that, you know, the audience practically jumps out of their seats?
I get there. It's kind of boring sometimes. I always feel like it's boring to talk about process, but for me, I always get there when I investigate what the character needs, what motivates the character in their life. What is, you know, in acting school they call it super objective. I say need. What drives them? What do they need to live? And if they don't get it, then what would their reaction be? And I always start from that. And for me, with Rose in that scene, I felt like she was almost like an animal that had been kind of forced into a corner and then had no choice but to then regurgitate and fight. And that contributed to the stakes being so high and the emotional life, I guess. And of course, I use my imagination, being a woman who's been married for 7 years, been with my husband for 11 years, and imagining, using my imagination as a wife, as a partner, and understanding that level of betrayal. You always kind of do that as an actor.
Just talking about the memories of the original production and how you wanted to get away from the Mary Alice and James Earl Jones, I have unforgettable memory of that scene where big James Earl Jones and little Mary Alice comes up to him and she hits him on the chest, and the audience just went crazy, and the women in the audience were saying, hit him again, hit him harder. And you don't hit Denzel in this particular moment. Was that a choice you made so that you were not going to do what James and Mary did before?
First of all, Denzel said he did not want to be hit. Okay, let's just be honest. He said he did not want to be hit because he felt like that turned it into something else, something physical, and then you would have to deal with that. Okay, that was his opinion. Now, my feeling about the hitting, and this is just my opinion, is I'm trying to use my words carefully, but for me, it almost is something that the audience expects to happen. You know, that you expect an outburst of physical, of hitting and punching, and I did not feel motivated to hit him as an actress. I felt more motivated to release, and I felt like if the release happened, then the audience would not miss the hitting. That I did not want to put all of my energy into the physical of it and not the emotional life of it. I felt like the people would have seen the physical aspects and not have, they wouldn't have heard the words.
Right, right.
And in the long run, I don't think that people miss it. I don't think that I miss it either.
But if you hit him one night, let me know. I'd love to go to that performance there where you just haul off and smack Denzel.
You don't miss the hitting at all.
I don't think I miss it. It's easy to do the hitting. It's easy to give the audience what they want, you know. But I think the two actors found the truth.
Stephen, I want to ask you. You're an old hand at the August Wilson world. Yeah. What is the most difficult thing about playing an August Wilson play?
Well, you know, McKinley talks about, you know, mining it for the truth. Any poetic writer, you know, there's this wonderful balance that you're trying to hit with the poetic and the human truth of it. Is that thing about you don't bring life to the stage, you bring the truth of life to the stage. So, and that's something that's far more important than the naturalism or the realism, or, you know, it's really a...
Well, that's so interesting about August's writing, because it is naturalistic. It seems naturalistic, and yet these characters, then you realize they're not really quite of this world
no,
at some level. They're bigger than this world.
But there's an eloquence that they have, and August heard that eloquence. It's not something he made up, but he crafts it so beautifully. But it's the eloquence that I heard when I was a kid, listening to him talking on the porch and rocking chairs. And there's an eloquence to and an approach to their existence that is an exalted approach to what life itself is, you know. And so the challenge is to always be balancing that, you know, to not be so busy trying to bring what you saw, whether it was in another play or in life. It's not about just making it like it is in life. It's taking that thing that is in life and showing that eloquence and that beauty that August clearly intended.
The poetry in the prose of August Wilson.
Yes, yes.
Now, you all knew August. Is this the first play that you've done without August being there?
No, it's not, unfortunately. No, I did the Signature series.
Right.
Signature,
right.
You know, and we did King Hedley and Seven Guitars there. And but I must say, Kenny, again, every time I get a chance, I want to let you know the century cycle, the 20th century cycle that we did at Kennedy Center, the 100 years of plays that did all the readings and
all 10 of August's
all
plays.
10 plays, and that was something to be a part of. Is quite an incredible experience. And
What was it like as a director to have August hovering around? You know, what if he were alive now, what would he be doing in Fences?
Oh, well, he is around.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah, he
he's
sure
in my
is.
ear every.
Man, what do you hear? What was it like working with him as a director?
Get it. Come on, man. Come on. What's he doing? Come on, we gotta get the truth. But what was great about August was that you could be in a rehearsal hall working on a scene, and he would be down the hall rewriting a scene. Then you would meet and talk about that, and he would give you the rewrites. You give them to the actors. We would do the scene, rehearse all day, go out on the street. We walking down the street. He said, "Let me talk to you for 5 minutes." That 5 minutes would turn into 2 hours. Of him standing there telling you stories about life and about the characters, testing his material out, you know. But it was incredible to be with him. I remember with Gem of the Ocean, we took out 1 hour and 10 minutes between Boston and New York. And he said he liked working with me because I worked so fast. And he would give me like 10 things he was thinking. These are 10 ideas. I would put all 10 things in the show that night. And he couldn't believe it. So then I would show it to him, and I said, "See, that doesn't work. This works. That doesn't work." He's like, "You're right. Let's take that out. Let's do that." And he really loved that process, you know. But he demands that everyone brings their A game.
Yeah.
Bring your game. Because he said, "I wrote the play. You need to direct." And that's what I loved about it.
And Viola, your memories of when you were doing the plays that and August was around?
My biggest memory, the strongest memory I have of August is we didn't have an actor for Floyd in Seven Guitars when we did it at the Goodman Theater for the first few days. And so August read the role of Floyd.
Oh, interesting. And how was he?
The words just dripped out of his mouth. It was, I mean, just like butter. And you saw how much of those characters were a part of him. I mean, we were all shocked in the room, you know, especially when he was kind of wooing me, wooing Vera, you know. You saw a different facet of his personality because he was kind of shy.
Yeah, I always
He's
thought he
a
was a bit
very shy
aloof, you
man.
know. He's
Well,
not-
he came out with Floyd, you know. He's like, "If you give me one more chance, Vera, if you give me one more." It was fantastic. And I remember just the silence that fell over the room. It was something else. Yeah. We all remember that, actually. If you ask any actor who's in that room, they will never forget that.
August doing his Floyd.
I just loved when he was around the rehearsal and to catch him listening and hearing, you know, and he would sometimes, it's like he was listening to a quartet or something, you know, I mean, listen to music.
He was listening to the
Yeah,
music of his
and he would hear that blues iambic, I call it. He'd hear that, you know, and then if somebody went off, he'd stop.
He'd stop.
Right.
Did I do something? Yeah. You know, is something wrong? Did I write something wrong? And he's really letting you know you didn't do that.
You messed up.
But he would always say, "Did I do something? Is something wrong?" You know, and then, you know, "No, man, I got it." Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, I mean, a bit of an intimidating presence to have around at times, was he?
Well, at the same time, though, I mean, it was intimidating because, like Kenny said, you want to bring your best for him.
Kept you honest.
You know, but he was also, I mean, it was a joy.
It was
you know?
joyous.
Yeah,
I remember
really.
even in the last few months, because we were still working on radio golf in L.A.
And he was ill in the last.
Yeah, and I would fly on the off day to Seattle and sit on the porch with his wife Constanza and with his best friend and dramaturg Todd Kryler, and we would talk about the play, and then we would talk about life. But I remember I said, so August, like this is the music I've been playing with for the transition, so you know I want you to check this out. And he was like in a lot of pain but covering up. And he said, well, let's listen to it. And I had a rental car in the front of his yard, so he said, let's just go to your car and listen to it. And I knew it was painful for him to take every step to that car. But he was such a man of pride. And in all his plays, he talk about life and death. But here's a man to say, you know what, I don't want to do that chemo. Let's just, you know, let me just finish this play. Let me do the work. And so we walked to the car in pain all the way. And we sat in the car, and I put the CD in. And you got to understand, it was painful for him to get in the car. He was sitting there, and he was listening to the music, and he closed his eyes, and he was like, and I said, what? I don't know, Kenny.
You're all laughing at recognition.
But he was he was like telling the truth, and I knew what he meant, you know. And it's like, and it was the bass line was off, and it was like interfering with the blues of going from his words to the blues and the music, and so he just that face told me everything, you know. And he was still supportive of it, but he was like, you know, fix that. And I knew exactly what he meant, you know. And he was one of a kind, you know.
Yeah, it's so interesting what you said too about the eloquence of the writing, that he heard it, because the times I interviewed him, you'd always say, you know, August, how do you create these worlds, these characters, the imagination? And he said, I hear it. I hear them talking, and I write down what they're saying.
You know, he loved to hear actual story. I told him once, I was up in Harlem. I was on sabbatical, and I was on the street, and two guys coming down the street, and they said, all I heard from the conversation, no, man, the blues don't come from being black. The blues come from being black in America. You was black before you came here. You didn't get the blues till you got here. Now, that kind of conversation that people actually had, August loved to hear that genius, that intelligence inside, you know, people who maybe didn't attend any college class, but they looked at the world very deeply because the world affected them. So when he said he heard these people, he was hearing the assortment of things that he had heard all his life, but they were coming together for him in his creative head, you know, on this play. Yeah. But he had heard these voices his whole life. Now, he was really, you know, they were his voices he was hearing. You know, it's not like he was hearing some other. He created, but you know what I mean. They were drawn from a real restaurant in the Hill District, to be at Eddie's restaurant in the Hill and then see a production of 2 Train. But to be there with August eating a salmon cake breakfast or at the Crawford Grill, this is really, you know, that place, and it doesn't exist there now. It only exists in August Place, and it's a tribute to so many different communities. I'm from Kansas City. It reminds me of 18th Street and Vine, and 12th Street and stuff. If you come
You're
from
Rhode
Detroit,
Island. Does it remind you of?
Well, yes, it does, because my family were from South Carolina. So May Alice and Dan Davis and my relatives, it's, you know, it's who we were. And growing up in Rhode Island, which is interesting that you mentioned that, is Rhode Island is very Caucasian. Well, no longer, but when I was growing up, well, yeah, that will remain so. But Central Falls, Rhode Island was very white. And so I grew up with a very strong Southern accent, and then coming to New England, so you can imagine what my accent sounded like. So I had to go to a speech pathologist for years. And I always had a sense growing up that the language of my mom and dad, and they had all kinds of ways they pronounce words and how their banter, I always felt that there was something wrong with it.
It's not the way that you wanted to speak.
Yeah. It wasn't, but if you had asked me, I probably would have said, yeah, it wasn't, because it was programmed into me as being broken English, not correct speech. And what's so wonderful about August is what he's given me is that I now celebrate that. You know, I celebrate that language.
One last question. You brought something earlier, that you love going to the theater to see all of America, I think you said, lined up. But it is a play on Broadway, and the tickets are very expensive. I mean, you're the highest grossing play on Broadway now, and the prices are about $350, I think, for the premium seats. Do you have any concern that as August, especially with this play, with great actors, it's become an elite experience, and not everybody really can go to see an August Wilson play now, because it's really for fancy people with money to go see him on Broadway?
I don't feel that way at all, and just in the same sense that August wanted to be respected in that body of just soldiers of writers like O'Neill and Miller. You know, that was the importance of doing that. But he also had his plays produced at regional theaters. Like my company, True Colors Theater Company, is producing Jitney right now with Anthony Chisholm in it. You know, so there only can be 1,100 people that can see this play. wherever they come from. So my thing is, like, if you got Denzel Washington and Viola Davis and Stephen McKinley and Henderson coming to do this play, then the world will look at that and see that that's a great thing. Why is Denzel doing that play? Why is Viola doing that play? And then it would force them to want to do the plays in their communities, or to go to the library and read August Wilson's works, because if it's important enough for Denzel to take time out of his schedule to do this play, I can't come to that play, but hey, it's important enough that he's doing it. It's going to have a ripple effect.
Fences is running at the Court Theater until
July 11th.
Any chance of an extension?
Right now, we're set to close July 11th.
Brilliant performances from Stephen McKinley, Henderson, Viola Davis, and terrifically directed by Kenny Leon. Congratulations on the Tony nominations and the success of Fences.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being our guests.
These producers keep stepping forward, saying, I want to do your play and I want to do it on Broadway. And I don't say no. You know?
I'm trying the best I can to explain it to you. It's not easy to admit that I've been standing in the same place for 18 years. Well, I've been standing with you. I've been right here with you, Troy. I got a life too. I gave 18 years of my life to stand in the same spot as you. Don't you think I ever wanted other things? Don't you think I had dreams and hopes? What about my life? What about me? Don't you think it ever crossed my mind to want to know other men? That I want to lay up somewhere and forget about my responsibilities? That I wanted someone to make me laugh so I could feel good? You're not the only one who's got wants and needs.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production.
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Alan S. Gordon Foundation, the Corey and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.